Now, our feature presentation.
The best
in the world
is right here,
right now.
Whether you like it or don't like it, pal, learn to love it.
Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome.
All right, listen up.
Now it's our time to step forward. It's time to bring the NWA back into the spotlight.
I was thinking that it might be a good idea if you and I formed an alliance.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Attention, everyone.
Welcome to the greatest wrestling program in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? Stop what you're doing and listen.
It's the Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts Kevin Frazier, DKM and Jay Cal.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast. I'm Jay Cal. That's DKM right there. Obviously, you can see we're missing somebody. That's okay. He had to go on vacation with his wife and do husbandly duties. But we're here, neglecting our wives, nay, neglecting our families to talk to you about the National Wrestling Alliance. And I bet you're glad you're here because we're glad you are. DKM, how are you today?
How can you misspell DKM?
Avocados.
Yeah, sure. I believe that. I am. It's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. Tomorrow being Friday is always a good thing.
That's for sure. I see we've got Chris Drummond in the house. Woodland Goblin is here. DKM. It feels like you guys really do like us. It feels like you guys are here to be part of the family, part of the show, and we welcome you for
Don't
that.
forget
now,
Terry.
Yeah, Terry. I didn't say Terry.
I didn't hear you say Terry, but I don't listen to you that closely.
And that's how all of our conversations go.
True. Very, very true.
So you guys, this week was a very special episode of NWA POWERRR SURGE. I see NWA Gold just joined us. Welcome, NWA Gold. Tim is a good guy. Tim is giving away, I don't know if you guys know this, NWA Gold is giving away a Western States Heritage Championship. It's a replica, but he's giving it away. You guys want to check out his Facebook page. He's literally giving away a title belt. Like, you don't have to buy it. He's not even asking for you to chip in for shipping. He's literally going to send one of his followers on Facebook, Instagram, and I believe Twitter a championship title just for being a part of his community. If you guys want to get in on that, you certainly should do so. Again, go to Facebook, NWA Gold. We can put a link down later for it, but Tim's a great guy, part of the family, and if you guys aren't following him, you should anyways. But we had a very interesting episode of, it's not NWA Power. We knew that going into it, that part of what they talked about early on with the deal with Fight TV is that there would be 3 episodes a month of NWA Power, and then 1 episode a month would be this POWERRR SURGE. Now, on the surface, that doesn't seem like a horrible deal. It doesn't seem terrible. But the show that we got was, I felt like it might have been a little incomplete, for a program that I'm paying for. DKM, what were your thoughts initially about POWERRR SURGE, and let's get into it.
I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't expect that. And it's not, I mean, I think if I had known what it was going to be, hey, we're going to be doing some sit-down interviews at the announce desk, and, we'll have a match on the show and everything, followed by more interviews. And I'm saying, okay, that's a cool thing to do. That's the way to kill a week. you know, and it's going to run 30 minutes or however long it ran. You know, I think that would all have been cool. I just didn't know what it was going to be in. So I didn't know how to watch it.
That's a good way to put it. I didn't know how to watch it. I had a lot of I guess maybe unrealistic expectations for what this was supposed to be. A lot of that might have been fueled by some of the members of the roster tweeting stuff that made it seem like we were going to get a little bit more than what we did. I mean, Sky Blue was mentioning that she was going to be in action. Sky Blue out of Mission Pro Wrestling. The Pope tweeted that Tim Storm would be in action. Again, neither one of these things came into fruition. So, I mean, I felt like that kind of hurt the show a bit, because if you have an expectation of 2 to 3 matches and then you get one match, that's kind of a letdown. I mean, do you agree, DK?
Yeah, and that's what I guess that's the point I was trying to hammer. And I didn't see some of those things. I mean, I heard people talking about it on the Discord channels and, you know, stuff like that. And so everything I heard was more secondhand than anything. But, you know, Power Surge, a surge of power, you know, you think something more powerful. And this is just, I mean, it was a recap show. It was good for a recap show. And if I had known I was going in to watch a recap show, I probably would have been pretty content with it. And they go, hey, it's a recap show and we're going to have one match. And then, you know, like, cool. Probably would have picked a better match, but, you know.
Yeah, I think that's something we have to take
and nothing against the guys.
I think that's something you have to take into consideration, is that it certainly was, you know, if you go into it knowing what it is, I think that would have helped things out a whole lot. Knowing that it was going to be a recap show, you know, I would have lowered my expectations. I thought this was actually a pretty good show. Overall, I think it was a great introduction for anyone who's new to the NWA, to give you a 30-minute episode to kind of catch you up. However, I feel like this might be wasted on an audience who's literally paying to see you every week. Plus, that audience has access to video on demand of all the matches and all the promos connected to Power. So I really feel like what you did was give your paying audience a regurgitation of what they've already been fed. Now, I actually liked the Mims match. We'll get into that in a minute. I really liked the promos that were unseen before. I really felt it added something unique to the characters. But the problem is when I'm paying $5 a month, and I know that's not a great amount of money, but when I'm paying $5 a month, I don't need you to tell me what I missed. I need you to show me something new, or make that available to a larger, broader audience, and then I kind of understand, okay, if that was on YouTube, I would have been singing their praises right now. I thought that it would have been terrific. I just felt the way that it was handled, it left a lot to be desired.
I'm going to blame Fight TV on this one. Now, obviously, I don't know. You don't know. And I doubt most of the people in the chat know what the actual agreement was between Fight TV and the NWA. And so, obviously, it was for exclusive content since they took down their YouTube stuff.
Right.
And the only thing they're putting out is just what you missed last week. And, which I've never watched one of those videos, so I honestly couldn't tell you if it's any good or not. Because I always watched last week, so. I think I'm not going to blame the NWA for this one. I'm going to blame Fight TV for this one. And that Fight TV, if you want people to pay for and buy the monthly subscription, then this is exactly the type of thing that you would give away for free and then hype. This is, you know, here are the recaps, here are the people you could be seeing, and then here's the sample match. Then the match that they had on it makes more sense. Which, to be honest, isn't two of their top wrestlers. And again, nothing against either guy. I like Jeremiah Plunkett when he was in Saw, and I was one of the people that defended the idea of him getting a world title match, because at that time he was very over for that promotion. And, it made sense to me. You do what's going to put butts in the seat.
Right.
And so, that all made sense to me. And, I don't know if he's doing some training down there or whatever, but, it makes sense for him to work with some of the younger talent. But they set this up as a teacher-student match.
Which I didn't understand that either, by the way.
I didn't either, and I don't even know if it's true or not. It might be, it might not be, I don't know. But then the teacher's the heel from the beginning, and it was a moderately open. I guess we're going to talk about the match since I am.
Yeah, that's just, honestly, that's the most exciting part of the show. Well, maybe not, but let's get to it anyways. You're right. Let's talk about the match. We had Mims. We had, like you said, Jeremiah Plunkett, former Southern Heavyweight Champion, was kind of the king of the castle around Saw. What a lot of people don't seem to remember or realize is that when he was in Saw kind of making his way, Josephus was also there. And I don't know if this has anything of paying homage to Josephus or any kind of connection, but to me, I really like the fact that they're using some guys who had connections to the NWA in the past. When they brought in Jack Stane, I was one of those guys that popped, not because of who Jack Stane is today, but because of who he was with the NWA. And when I see guys who they bring in, who knows, maybe next week they bring in Damian Wayne or they bring in Chance Prophet, I'm going to be one of those guys that's going to jump up and cheer, because these guys represent the NWA of yesteryear. Not even yesteryear, but NWA from a few years ago. So I think that's kind of cool. I'm sorry, I'll let you get back to it.
Well, no, it's just, I was kind of wrapping up, but it was just, it was an okay match. Didn't necessarily understand why some of the things that they said were said. It was fine. Mims got the win. Mims needed to get the win after he had gotten the pinfall in that one tag match. Maybe they can do something for him. I don't know how long he's been in wrestling. I don't know how much he's actually wrestled. I still see green when I see him in the ring. He's, back in the day there was the term jobber to the stars.
Yep.
And for those of you that aren't familiar with it, it's not used as much anymore. Those are basically your lower mid-card guys. They would go on TV and win, but typically when they were putting the, big show, the Omni or Sportatorium or Greensboro Coliseum, they were putting kind of low-card matches where they might win, or if they faced upper mid-card guy, and certainly if they faced top card guys, they lost on a regular basis. So, they won on TV, they lost in the arenas, and they were kind of called, in the term that was used back then, was jobber to the stars. And, you kind of get that vibe from Mims right now. He needs to wrestle as much as he can, wherever he can. He seems to have some raw talent. I'd like to see that develop. And so that's my thoughts on the match. Did you have any great, amazing thoughts on the match?
Just to kind of, put a further punctuation on what you're saying, it was a fine match. This wasn't a great match by any stretch of the imagination. Neither one of these guys are going to get Superstar of the Week for this one. The in-ring storytelling was not really consistent. We had Velvet Sky keep telling us, like, hey, you know, he's working as a heel. That just was nails on the chalkboard for me. I also didn't like the story that they were trying to tell inside the ring. You know, they were saying it was the student versus the teacher, but I wouldn't have gotten that had they not mentioned it 3 or 4 times. It just felt like 2 guys going out there to wrestle, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It just, like, the point that they kept bringing it up, I just thought it's kind of odd. And then the match itself, like I said, it was pretty good. Again, if this was on a free YouTube or other sign like Facebook or something like that, then I would have had no problem with this at all. But I feel like I'm paying for this, and like you said, this was like a matchup between 2 quote unquote enhancement talents. It just left a lot to be desired. Was the match good? Yeah, it was good. Was it great? No, not close. But I mean, what I do really like Mims, and we talked already about how I feel about Jeremiah Plunkett. But Mims is somebody who's been with the company, with the Lightning One era, since Power debuted. I don't think he was at the Crockett Cup, but I know he was on the first episode of Power. And if you're along for the long haul, if you will, watching Mims from episode 1 till now has been kind of a breath of fresh air. Seeing his development, you can see the work that he's put in. He's not the same guy he was a year ago or a year and a half ago. What will be exciting to see is how he transitions and how he continues to grow with the company. And I think there's a lot of good stories to be told with that. But again, I don't know that this is where I would start that. I feel like this could have been on any episode of Power, and maybe somebody a little bit more familiar, somebody who would have drawn me in a little bit more, maybe a Jack Stain or a Crimson having a match on this card might have been better, I think, for everyone involved. I mean, that's just my 2 cents.
Well, my thought is, since this is part of the pay package, this would have been a perfect spot for our TV title defense, really, because it's already got a short time limit. It's a short show, and you can feature one of your top guys in the Pope, and he can be facing somebody like a Plunkett or a Mims or somebody like that, who's, you know they're not going to win, but it can just be a little bit of excitement. I want to address some things that I'm seeing pop up over here in the chat. For those of you that keep seeing me turn, hey Jay, we got very blurry.
Are we still very blurry?
We're a little bit behind. I'm a little bit behind when watching it, but we're very blurry from what I can see. People were talking about not May Valentine. She does it some in sit-down interviews, but Sky kept using, the inside terms, and I think, you talked about heel and stuff like that. Oh, working as a heel, but that's okay because I worked as a heel, so I can't really complain. And it's like, please don't do that. and just to me that's an attempt to get over with a limited amount of Smark fans, for those that know what Smarks are. And if you don't, just say in the chat. We'll explain later. But May Valentine did a little bit of it. And so what are your thoughts in general when wrestlers and announcers kind of use these inside terms or inside jokes? And
well, if you're asking the audience, I think everyone in the chat room is kind of in agreement. I think it's not conducive to good storytelling. And look, I called her Velvet Revolver. That's a band. Velvet Sky is a professional. I mean, she was an in-ring professional. She had been a manager in the past. She's been a wrestler in the past. I do think this is the first time she's been an announcer. And for the most part, I think she does a pretty good job. But that being able to stay professional, I mean, you don't hear Tim Storm mentioning anyone working a heel or a face, and we don't throw out those insider terms. And I actually got a lot of people messaging me on Facebook and on Instagram and on Twitter to say, hey, what do you think about this? And I don't like it either, guys. I mean, I'm a traditionalist. I want my wrestling, again, the whole point of this is we have to agree, and it has to be a safe place for us all to go ahead and pretend like what we're seeing is real. So if we can force ourselves to buy into what's being told to us, nothing snaps you out of reality more than somebody breaking in with insider terms. Like, oh, he's a jobber, bro. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear insider terms. You know, that I don't think that's conducive to good storytelling. And I think that people in our chat would agree with me.
All right, so kind of getting through that, it's obvious that the basis of what the show was more of a recap sit-down interview talk show. And there were aspects of it that I liked. I didn't really need the recaps. I didn't really need the recap so much because, as you said, we have the subscription for it, so chances are we've seen it.
Yeah.
So you're not selling to me.
Right.
I already bought, which is again why I think Fight TV is making a mistake by not making this a free show.
Right.
And you know, it's your buddy out there with May Valentine.
My buddy.
Your buddy.
All right.
And so that's what I'm going with. And I gotta say, I've never been the biggest May Valentine fan, but I think she is somebody who is improving and where we can see the improvements. So I thought she did well. Not great, but well in this particular format.
Yeah, and I think that's something that should be recognized. You and I both said long ago that, look, we are here to point out pros and cons to this show. If things are good, we're going to point them out. When things are bad, we'll also point them out. We call a spade, and that's kind of how we're supposed to be. I thought May Valentine sounded so much better than any other segment she's done on the show. And, I mean, looks aside, she's getting better, and I think that should be celebrated and congratulated, because again, if she's not getting better week in and week out, and it's just, you know, again, nails on the chalkboard, gosh, you got to get rid of her. But she's improving, which to me, look, maybe she's going to be the modern day version of Missy Hyatt, but to me, she's already in her approach and how she's cutting, you know, not cutting promos, but speaking to the talent. I really feel like she's starting to become more of an authoritarian, and I think that's important for these promos. She can't just let the wrestlers talk over her, and the way she was kind of talking with Camille kind of felt like she wasn't going to let Camille just, you know, push her around like Camille does to Joe Galley.
Yeah, and that was a good thing, and she showed personality, which I think has probably been my criticism of her. Is that she's always been really kind of stiff and monotone and, you know, nerve-wracked, I guess, would be the way you might look at it. And so she came across here with some good personality, like when she was talking about, you know, Sal Renaro interrupting her, and, you know, of course, that was personally embarrassing. And, you know, in some of the looks and some of the things she said, it was like, you know, she's becoming more comfortable. It's becoming a little more natural to her. So I just felt like it was good. But since you brought up the Camille interview, to me, the Camille interview was probably the best part of the show.
Okay.
I felt like there was good back and forth between her and May. But then also, she said some things that you kind of got to look at and go, She pointed out that she's in her strictly business thing, and, as far as she's concerned, that's she's strictly business. But, she's not overly worried about it. Her and Tom are a power couple. And as far as she's concerned, Tom should be in the world title hunt, world title picture, something to that extent, she said. That's interesting, don't you think?
That was good. That definitely was good.
Are they throwing out a seed? Are they, as Kevin said, are they foreshadowing some stuff? Could we see Vladimir Aldis thing at some point in the future? Hopefully not rushed, but a story developed. They at least got me thinking about it, got me wondering about it. For Kevin, Vladimir's the best guy on the show, in the company. Should the best guy in the company be challenging for the world title? And if he does, who's the heel and who's the face? Interesting. So I don't know. What do you think about that conversation?
First of all, that's the most personality we've seen out of Camille since she's been on the show. So again, we talked about May kind of developing a personality. Like Camille even said, this is the first time you ever heard me talk, and the people still getting used to it. I thought that was classic, because she's right. For such a long time, she was a mute. She didn't speak much at all. So for her to come through and kind of show some personality, I thought that was pretty cool. Plus, it kind of helped establishes her again as a heel, because that whole silent mute thing that they were doing with her, it led a lot to be, is she good? Is she healed? Is Aldis holding her back? What's going on? But she came out and said, no, this is who I am. So I really felt like that was good character development. I saw Scooby say here in the comments that they could have added 10 to 15 minutes by having some video highlighting the new talent and new champions with Pope, Stevens, Kratos, and Adonis. I feel like instead of that, I feel like they should do more of this on the regular Power episodes. And I think that you could maybe stretch another match, take a match off of those episodes and put it in on this show, because I feel like Camille cutting that promo adds so much to it, and would have been more meaningful if that was immediately after her defeating Thunder Rosa. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that would have carried more weight on that episode or the following episode than it did 3 weeks after the fact. But I really feel like the promos did a great job of establishing characters and pushing the stories forward, which is something that I feel like, again, Power's been lacking a lot of, is that forward momentum. I mean, we got a double dose of Nick Aldis, and he pretty much said the same thing twice. There's no one out there who's ready to challenge him for the title. Everyone on Strictly Business is on notice, but I'm not specifically saying that Latimer and Camille are out. I'm just saying that everyone's on notice. Well, what are you exactly? You're kind of double talking there. You're telling us stuff that you've already said. What did you think about the double dose of Nick Aldis?
A little odd to get him twice like that. Like you said, to kind of repeat. I probably wouldn't have formatted it that way, but I do think it advanced storylines. As far as, again, like the Camille thing, he kind of had to respond to it. It also kind of tells you, though, there is no Strictly Business. There's Nick Aldis and the Stooges.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's basically saying no one's safe. They're adding someone or whatever. And so... And I think it's intentional, by the way. I mean, I think it's intentional. I think it's supposed to come up.
Do you think they're intentionally putting these seeds of doubt because they're going to break up Strictly Business, or you think they're planting these seeds of doubt to further unify them later down the road?
I don't know what direction they're heading, which is part of what makes it interesting. I'm not a big fan. Jay disappeared again. No! There he is. And I don't really know which direction they're heading on that, which helps make it interesting. That's kind of what you want. That being said, I'm never a fan of teasing a split, just to have them, all laugh at, whoever. It has to be done very well to do that, 1980 Ole Anderson with Dusty Rhodes, or, that type of thing. And so you have to do that very, very well. There are so many turns and breakups and splits with WWE and AEW where you don't know who's with who one week to the next, and they break up and they regroup and they don't like each other, but they do. And in wrestling right now, it's better to do a slow burn and a slow turn. I mean, look, there's no real program for Aldous at the moment. If they do things right, they can get 2 or 3 matches out of Trevor Murdoch. They can get a build-up with the Pope as he chases his 7, and they try to stop him, especially if Vladimir's the one that's trying to stop him, because that can factor into the story. Then assuming Aldous puts all those away, then you would have the thing where he and Vladimir could finally be in a position to face each other. So they're planting some seeds. It's just, and I think Aldous is intentionally coming on off as a pompous ass. Some people claim that's his actual personality. So, play to your strengths. And I don't know. I mean, if this show did any good, and to tell you the honest truth, I barely remember anybody else that was interviewed. If this show did any good, I would say that setting up this idea that there could be a split at some time, and we could end up with Vladimir Aldous. And I think Vladimir is the type of guy that, if built properly, could be a believable future champion. I also believe that about Pope, by the way. We could be in for some good storylines. I certainly got my fingers crossed. What are you thinking? Or do you?
So, yeah, I mean, look, there was one more really good promo. We'll get to that in a minute. In terms of what the NWA is doing, I kind of question some of the tactics that they go for, right? Like, the social media account just said, I think it was yesterday or maybe even this morning, they pointed out that Nick Aldis says that there's no competition, that there's no one who's worthy of a challenge for the 10 pounds of gold. Now, that's fine and dandy, right? That's what a pompous asshole would say, pardon my language. But, I mean, that really pulls the rug out of the rug from underneath Trevor Murdoch, if that's who you're choosing to put in the world title picture. If you're saying right now, hey, nobody earns that shot, no one deserves that shot, Latimer doesn't earn that, or excuse me, Latimer doesn't deserve a shot at the world's championship. Okay, you're saying that obviously there's a lot of guys on the roster who don't deserve that title shot, but again, Chris Adonis, who just won the national championship, doesn't deserve a shot? You're saying the Pope doesn't deserve a shot? I mean, there's a lot of talent on this roster, and that's one thing that I want to stress, is that there's so much talent on this roster, and there's only like 15 people total, but I feel like they're being used in weird ways that it doesn't make sense to me. But I think if the natural progression is you're going to put Trevor Murdoch in that title picture, and that's what the rumors I'm hearing, that's what I'm hearing, then I really think that, okay, you're onto something, okay? But you have to build it up the right way, and I don't think you build it up by putting him in a neck brace and having him lose a match. I don't think you build it up by tearing him down constantly. He needs to get something going. He needs to have some forward momentum, and if it's not beating Adonis to get his title back, then, I mean, is he going to go through Latimer to get to all this? I mean, he needs to get something going positively. So if the NWA is looking at Trevor Murdoch being that guy, he's not going to win this war with promos. He's got to put some, he needs to put his boot in somebody's butt. You know what I mean? He needs to start kicking some ass. And so far, that hasn't been the case. So far, he has been a very tame Trevor Murdoch from what we saw a year ago when him and Aldis really went at it and looked really good in that match, or I guess a year and a half ago. They looked really good, and I think we need to see more of that. We need to see some more combat and less talk. And if you don't mind, DK, I'm going to jump to the promo that, to me, was the highlight of the night. Sean Mega says, it's only been 3 episodes, patience. Yeah, I hear you, buddy, but here's the thing. It's not 3 episodes. This is the 24th episode, or Power Surge is like the 25th episode. We had this level of really good constant content, and then there was a drop off, and then it all went to hell, and then when it came back, it's not where it should be. I don't feel like what we're seeing right now is on par with what we saw a year ago. And it's basically the same people in charge. It's basically the same people running the show. I mean, you did lose a lot of creative when they let go of David Marquez, when they let go of, or I guess David Lagana decided to leave, and when Josephus passed away, you did lose a lot of quality creative people. But on the interim, if you didn't replace those guys with more people who are more creative, then you did a disservice to yourself. And that's not on the wrestlers in the ring. That's on the people running the promotion. But
well, and I think also looking at that, if I can interject just real quick.
Yeah.
Josephus wasn't really a booker. He kind of did a lot of the behind the scenes video editing. He, they mentioned, I think Aaron Stevens mentioned he was the one that was responsible for like the goofy commercials, that they did and stuff like that. He kind of put a lot of that stuff together. I don't really know what Dave Marquez did behind the scenes, but again, we're not talking about the booker. We're not talking about, he didn't put the formats together. Lagana may have been the one that put the formats together and everything and did a ton of the video stuff. But I don't know how much of the booking he did or did not do. And, maybe somewhat, he probably had the most effect, but I don't know. A lot of the talent that was behind the booking aspect is kind of still there. And let's be honest, it's Billy Corgan's thing. He's going to set the direction and everything. So it's, they say about Vince McMahon, they book for an audience of 1.
Yeah.
And, they say Tony Khan basically, was booking with live action figures, back, when you're a kid, you played with your little wrestling figures, and they go, Tony Khan's just doing that now again with he's just using real people. And I don't know a lot about Billy Corgan. but I'm pretty sure that, he's playing some role in all this, whether he was at the tapings or not. So, I guess since Jay walked away, I'll keep talking.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
And, I just want him to be remembered. And so it's like, I understand, in one hand, I understand a patient's 3 episodes, but on the other hand is that you can turn a person away with one. You put on a bad episode and a person's watching it, they can go, yeah, no. Certainly when you're paying for it. You might get me to watch the first 3, but I ain't going to pay for the next one. And so it's not a matter of patience. It's a matter of it is not my responsibility for them to wait on them to do things right. It is their responsibility to entertain me. It's really that simple. They're asking for my time and my money.
Did you in the comments real quick? NWA Gold said, "I agree. It's not currently on par. 2 guys named Dave are missing." Scott Steiner, hey, shout out to Scott Steiner for joining the show today. He says that Corny should come back. What would Luthez do? Said Corny and Marquez made it feel like the NWA. Terry McDermott says, perfectly said, DKM. Jimmy in the LB says, I agree, Miss Jimbo. What would Luthez do? Says, my worst fear was this was Billy's toy. People lose interest in their toys. So, just kind of matching what you said. I mean, look, that's a fear that we all have, and it's a rational fear. Tony Khan put millions of dollars into play to get things going with All Elite Wrestling. Billy Corgan has put in significantly less, but at the same time has put in quite a bit of money into this product, into this project. And they actually, with this deal with Fight TV, they're actually getting paid to produce content, which is something that was not happening beforehand. So to what everyone's saying, like, yeah, I mean, there's no reason for this show to be subpar right now. I just don't feel like it should. I feel like this episode, recapping 3 weeks of programming that we've already, that we paid to watch, I think is in bad form. I didn't think this, again, I know we're kind of reiterating the same things. I'm seeing new people pop in the crowd. This show was good, but I feel like it was unnecessary. And if you were doing things the correct way, the elements of this show should have just been included on the regular episode of Power. We get about 45 minutes an episode every week anyways, and then we got a 30-minute recap show. Again, it just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But I do want to talk about one of the bright spots I saw, and that was the interview or promo. I don't even know what to call it, when Paro came on set. Now, I was very big on Paro when he returned to the NWA, when he was announced as part of the show, and he had that first match against Jordan Clearwater and absolutely destroyed him. I was very happy. I like Jordan Clearwater, but I like monster, big dudes going in the ring, a lot like Kevin Douglas. And in fact, Paro reminded me of like a big Van Vader from the WCW days, New Japan Pro Wrestling days. And when he came in there and he took Jordan Clearwater, basically he took his lunch money and beat him up, that was kind of exciting to me. It was one of the most interesting things I saw in Power, and still is. We're going into 3 or 4 weeks of TV. That's the most interesting thing I saw. Of course, the tag team match kind of took a little bit of that steam out, but then he cuts this amazing promo talking about how, coming out of the closet, you think you would be celebrated, but instead of getting that opportunity to be the star that he thought he should be, they sent him to Japan. They sent him to Japan and made him earn his way back on. When he was there at the 70th anniversary show, and he felt like he should have been given a greater opportunity. Nothing better than a heel with a chip on her shoulder. DKM, what did you think about the promo?
It was a good promo if I hadn't seen the tag match.
Exactly.
And the problem was the guy that was out there being the guy that we saw the first time destroy Jordan Clearwater was not the guy that was in the tag team match. And so it was almost one of those, dude, that's great, you're all hot and puffy now. Where were you in the tag team match? Because, Kevin flat out said it, you weren't kind of soft that match. And he didn't come across well in that match. His partner came across a hell of a lot better. And I said it, when that match was over, the only person I was really interested in wanting to learn more about was Odison.
Yeah.
Still do.
Yeah.
But it's like now I want to see him as a single wrestler.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the tag team. I'm going, hey, man, give me some Odison. I want to see him. Wouldn't mind seeing him in some matches against Adonis or whatever he calls himself this week.
Masters.
So, anyway, yeah, it was a good promo. It would have been better, if that character was consistent. I'll give him the tag match. I'm willing to forget it. Let's move forward. But you can't have another outing like that.
No.
And expect to be taken seriously. And expect to be looked at in that Vader role.
Could I make a suggestion? Maybe somebody could tweet this at Billy. I know nobody loves the pairing of Tyrus and Austin Idol, but could I get Austin Idol managing Paro? Could I get that? Because I think I would like that. I think I would enjoy that. I think I would enjoy Austin Idol putting over how great Paro is, putting over the Universal Wrestling College. I don't care. He can talk about that as long as he's pushing Paro to that national title or to a TV title or, God forbid, a suitable challenge for Nick Aldis. I mean, what do you think? What do you guys think in the chat, in the live stream? Would you be behind Austin Idol being the voice for Paro? Could you get down with that? Sean Mega says no, he doesn't need Austin Idol. Fair enough. What do you think, DK? Could you get behind that?
I could, with the right Austin Idol. And let me tell you what I mean by that. In the advertisement for his school, it starts out with the Austin Idol I don't like, where he's out there and he's loud and it's like a person that's going deaf. They start talking too loud. Or a person that has earplugs in. You ever go talk to somebody who's got their earbuds in, and they talk loudly to you? I'm not the one with the earbuds. You can talk at a normal level.
Yeah, I get you.
And he starts out here loud and he's boisterous and this and that and rah. But by the end of that commercial, he's more calm. He's talking in a more normal. Now, you bring that guy out to talk about how great Paro is or anybody other than Tyrus, then, I think you'd be using Idol in the proper way. And so, yeah, I could get behind that. But then again, just getting rid of Tyrus is my end goal, so.
Maybe Paro's the guy to get rid of him, right? I mean, a boy could dream. So, again, I want to stress that DKM and I are both NWA fans. And if it feels like we're picking on the brand, maybe we are. Because we have higher expectations for it. We want to see this show. Look, this show right now and Championship Wrestling from Hollywood are really the only wrestling content that I actually consume. I would love to watch Ring of Honor. I've thought about watching MLW on a consistent basis. It's just too much for me. This is my wheelhouse. This is what I'm paying my $5 a month for. And I watch Championship Wrestling from Hollywood as well. And I just would like to see more of that. I would like to see more of good quality wrestling from these products that I'm choosing to support. And so we're not here to really throw down the NWA as much as we want to be critical and be honest with our criticism, because we want to see the NWA turn it around and start stepping up, right? We want to see it be the best show every week. The talent is there. Like, I don't like Tyrus, but there's a way you could use Tyrus to make me interested. I don't necessarily love Nick Aldis, but let's be honest, I don't think there's anyone better in the business right now than him to carry the 10 pounds of gold. And what they've done with the Pope, I think they've been spot on. I think that's the best kind of booking they've done. The dissension and all the tag teams is a little bit confusing, but all in all, I think there's so much potential for this brand to really kind of be the next big thing if they're willing to do it, if they're willing to make these better stories. And it all comes from the top and it feels its way down. But the wrestlers can only do what they can do in the ring. DK, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, Kevin pointed out that sometimes the wrestlers do need to negotiate some if they're being told to do bad things. And I think anybody worth their salt will take what they have to say in consideration. The show is what it is. We know what it is now. I know what to expect now. Fight TV, you need to put it on for free, to get people interested in the thing. We'll look and see. We're hoping by the next tapings that maybe fans will be back. So, and this is going to sound weird, but I actually hope that there's fewer people in there, even if fans come back. I feel the studio wrestling works better with about 100. You get much more than 100 people in there, that kind of gets a little weird. So, hopefully that they will do something that will make it so that we want to talk about it in a positive way. And that being said, I feel like they're on the edge. I once said, I've said of wrestlers before that, sometimes this wrestler reminds me of Stunning Steve Austin, which is not Stone Cold Steve Austin, but you see the potential of them becoming something like that. If their character were adjusted a little bit, if their gimmick were adjusted some, that they could break out. I said that about Cody Rhodes when he left WWE. I think if used right, he can, I think mainly on the independent circuit, he did show he was better than how WWE used him. Of course, I don't like anything to AEW, but that's another story altogether. But kind of break away from the show and kind of get us into the real world. WWE announced some releases today. And, someone said, nobody needs to sit there and start going, oh, WWE needs to sign XYZ. First of all, if any of them, some of them are, they're going to be snapped up by either Impact or AEW. And what do you think of who you heard about being released? And, do you think they would fit anywhere in the wrestling world? And is there anyone that you just kind of think, oh, I know it probably wouldn't happen, but yeah, I'd really like to see them, at least spend one taping session in the NWA?
Well, it's literally right here on my screen. and I was about to get into it. WWE releases 9 wrestlers, including Samoa Joe. Now, contrary to what you just said, right? Contrary to what you just said, I want Samoa Joe in the NWA, and I'm not going to hide that. I'm not going to try to hide my excitement about it, because it's not. The thing is all of these talents, okay, they're men and women. Yes, they're superstars. They're wrestlers. They're on this like pedestal. But at the end of the day, they're human beings that need to work. They need to make money. They need to feed their families. They all have responsibilities, even those who are married to people in the NWA. With that being said, I don't expect 9 talents to all of a sudden show up in the WWE, to show up in the NWA on the next set of tapings. It's kind of funny how Aldis has been toting that he's got this opening for Strictly Business, and it's kind of been, like he's been talking about it, almost foreshadowing, but I don't think he could have known who would have been released then. But with Samoa Joe, him and Aldis have a relationship. They were tag team champions in Impact. They were tag team champions in Pro Wrestling Noah. Could I see them being wanting to work together again? Yeah. And when you take into consideration the schedule, that the talent for the NWA, really, what do they have to give up in order to appear on NWA programming? We just went through 4 weeks of NWA television and pay-per-view. I guess 5 weeks, right? And they're not scheduled to be back in the studio for a little bit longer. So what we're seeing being released on Fight and on pay-per-view is stuff that's been in the can for a little bit. So with that being said, if I am Samoa Joe, and this is just Jay Cal talking, guys, this probably will never happen, but if I'm Samoa Joe and I could come make an easy payday by putting in 4 or 5 days in Atlanta and getting, I don't know, a quarter of my salary to do that, why wouldn't I? I could still go work other places. I could still go work for New Japan Strong. I could still go work for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. I could still go work for Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. Or I could still probably get that deal to go work for Ring of Honor or New Japan Pro Wrestling. There really isn't any limitations. It's just making sure that you're available for the NWA those 3 or 4 days or 5 days of tapings. So with that being said, nothing is promised, but personally, I wish Samoa Joe would show up.
Sure, it would be great. It would be great, and I could see him being there for a set of tapings. The reality is, it doesn't matter how little the NWA tapes or is working, unless you're just working the indies. But once you start getting into, even MLW, we've said before, you're not going to see MLW talent come to the NWA, even though Hammerstone's out there winning titles left and right in various indies, and Russell's all over the place. He's not going to show up in the NWA and challenge Adonis for the national title or title versus title match.
It'd be a lot cooler if he did.
It would, but Orton and Billy would have to work something out. The politics of the world is it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so the same with ROH, or it's not that they can't appear elsewhere, but they're. And here's the thing: they're certainly not going to be pushed in the NWA, because if they're pushed in the NWA, then the other place probably doesn't want to push them that much.
Yeah.
And so where would you rather be pushed? Well, you're going to rather be pushed in a place you're going to work more steady and still have the opportunities to get out there and do stuff. And let's be honest, right now ROH is probably one of the top places for some people to go. There's been talking as far as putting on a good television show.
That's for sure.
And there's talk that ROH is interested in Joe. And, I don't know that I don't know that Sinclair, will shake the money at them, but if they chose to, they could.
They definitely should.
And and they should definitely consider it, especially at this point. If you're getting ready to go back to live crowds, Joe would be able to draw for you. He has a history with the company.
Yeah.
So that would be a good thing. If I were Joe, I'd stay as far away from AEW as possible because, whether you like that style of wrestling or you don't like that style of wrestling, one thing that you have to acknowledge is outside of Jericho and Dean Ambrose, none of the WWE talent that's come over has really done a lot. I mean, tell me how Miro's better off in his current gimmick than he was in WWE. When he first came out as Rusev, he's never been anything like that since that first ended.
And honestly, if you look at the careers of Rusev and Samoa Joe, just on the main roster, I think Rusev has been a little bit more impressive. I think he had that run with the U.S. title, his feud with John Cena. I don't know that Samoa Joe ever really got that same kind of positioning on the main roster. And I know he had that rivalry with Roman Reigns and things were about to happen with Brock Lesnar, but a lot of that stuff just fizzled out and never really came to fruition. So it's kind of like, you're making a pretty good point about not going to AEW when you see so many former WWE wrestlers go to AEW and not thrive the way that you might suspect they would.
I mean, look, it's all about money and what your priority is at this point. Truth is, Joe's been injured a lot recently. Rumor is he couldn't get cleared by WWE doctors, which is probably the reason for his release. So, he'll probably be able to get cleared by another set. But, he's had a lot of injuries. He is older in his career and stuff like that. So, where the advantage of working indies is that you just work what you want. And he could probably make decent money on the indie market. Or, maybe he could get signed to a big deal by AEW and, laugh all the way to the bank, so to speak. We were talking to somebody one time about Ron Killings and somebody was griping about how Ron Killings was being used in WWE. He's just a clown, and you're doing whatever. Ron Killings is 49 years old.
Yep.
I go. He can be on Raw. He can be on SmackDown. He's, he can be about anywhere. He's more used than half of their forgotten talent. I go. Nobody may care about the 24/7 championship, but he's still walking around with the belt. And I imagine he's making a pretty good payday. If I were Ron Killings and I saw someone complain about the way I was used, I'd laugh myself as I looked at my bank account.
Exactly.
I mean, Ron Killings is in the perfect place for Ron Killings.
And look, he's a I think it's like upwards of 35-time 24/7 champion. He held the hardcore 24/7 title a bunch of times. Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that, as long as he can get out there in the ring and wrestle, he can entertain. And it doesn't have to be a 5-star match for him to do something useful and entertaining in the world of the World Wrestling Entertainment. And furthermore, they're going to continue to honor that guy. They'll probably put him in the Hall of Fame at some point, and he'll still be making money years after his in-ring wrestling is done. They could probably use him as a backstage interview, a promo guy, a manager. There's so much other stuff that Killings will be able to do post his in-ring career that, anyone who'd blame him from taking that payday to work with Vince McMahon, I think, is just not being fair.
No, and sorry, I'm responding to something in the chat.
Well, speaking of the chat, Mr. Dave Scooby just said, and you just replied to it, that Mike Bennett is officially signed with Ring of Honor. That news broke today, And does that make Chris Dickinson a UWN champion by default? Here's the thing with both Mike Bennett and Chris Dickinson, they have special clauses in their contract, from my understanding, that this match is going to happen. Bennett has been taking independent dates along with working in Ring of Honor, and it's not uncommon for talent in Ring of Honor to work indie promotions as long as Ring of Honor, again, is their prominent spot that they go. I mean, as of right now, right, Tyler Bateman and Brody King are both working for New Japan Strong while maintaining their full-time Ring of Honor deal. And if Chris Dickinson, who also works New Japan Strong, ends up, and he has been appearing in Ring of Honor, I still think that ability for him to work both United Wrestling Network and Ring of Honor still exists. The same thing with Mike Bennett. I think either one of them, whoever ends up winning the championship, will be free to work anywhere. However, I don't think it's a good look for the company to have their champion, under an exclusive contract with another company. So, I mean, that it might be kind of showing your cards, but, I think Ring of Honor has been very patient in their dealing with Mike Bennett. If they gave him such liberty before and are now tightening it up, I really don't know, to be perfectly honest, but I think that opportunity for them to wrestle outside of Ring of Honor, I think, still is going to remain something that happens. But I'm not entirely sure.
I think at this point, whoever would win it probably wouldn't hold it very long.
No.
And, we might be at a point where we'll have to say, we're just going to appoint, two guys to fight for the vacant title. I hate to say that, but, we've talked before, sometimes we wonder if the title's cursed. Just haven't been able to fill it, for all these years. And I don't know. I just don't know. I would hope now that things are opening back up and there's a little more leeway and everything, that they just fill it. I've said this before. I think some of this is true with some of the NWA booking that we've had here, and in the first 3 episodes, I think there's been a little bit of this that was evolved, with this title. I call it being cute, trying to be cute. Oh, let's fill the title somewhere, in some other country, on some other continent. That'll be great. That'll make us look like a world, organization. Fill it in California, fill it in Hollywood, get it filled. And I was listening to Jim Cornette's drive-through experience, or one of them, a week or so ago. And he said Vince McMahon used to tell people, let's not kayfabe ourselves. And I like that comment. I think too many promoters nowadays kind of kayfabe themselves. And that's both including McMahon, honestly. And I think that's that's a problem in wrestling today. I think sometimes they're trying to fool themselves more than they are. The NWA needs to recognize what it is. United Wrestling Network needs to recognize what it is. Major League Wrestling needs to recognize what it is. I think the reason ROH has been having the success they've had since they've come back is because they are playing to who they are. So, at this point, let's not be cute, let's not kayfabe ourselves. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing, of the ones that were released, just for a set of tapings. I don't know, but Tucker has an amateur background. He was an All-American college. Wesley Blake was trained by, I think, Dory Funk's Funkin' Controversy Dojo. think Cowpunk actually teaches it anymore, but but he was trained there early, I think pretty much right out of college. Bo Dallas still has a pedigree, family line, stuff like that. And I've seen some of his NXT matches, and, he was good, and he basically started in the WWE system when he was 18. So that would be his one weakness, is I don't know that he would know how to work an indie card. But, any of the three of them, if you just brought him in for a set of tapings, I think it could be a good thing. So, you could generate some interest. You could see that, probably see them used in a non-comedy foolish role and go from there.
Well, and that's the thing too, like you said, just bring him in for a match. And I think what Luthez said earlier, maybe it was Dave Scooby, I apologize if I don't remember who said it, but I think at this point, right, there's no harm in any of these guys exploring their options. Billy Corgan said from the very beginning that POWERRR was going to have a carousel of talent come in and come out. And we've seen it in play. I've mentioned this weeks, but Scott Steiner was there for just literal tapings, and then he was gone. Ken Anderson was there for the first season and then gone. Colt Cabana was there for just a season, maybe 2 seasons, and then gone. And that's what it was always supposed to be. They were going to have a core roster, and then they were going to have talent come and go. And an opportunity like this for someone like Bo Dallas, if he decides to continue his work in professional wrestling, because there's an opportunity for him just to walk away. I've read that he's got a farm in Iowa, that he's perfectly content. I think he's married to like Mandy Rose, or at least in a relationship with her. I don't know about that. DK saying no. He's with one of the
last I heard, he's married and he's been in a long-term marriage.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but either way, if he can just go on his farm and be like Thanos after the snap and just live life accordingly, cool, man. Do it. Go be happy. But if you still want to be in wrestling, well, look, there's an opportunity for you to give up 4 days, 5 days at the most, and let's see if we can build a buzz about you. I mean, it worked for Eddie Kingston. It worked for Ricky Starks, and I'm not saying that Eli Drake got signed strictly on his NWA run, but it certainly helped. Liv Morgan, thank you, Kikuchi. Liv Morgan is who he's dating with. Anyways, if Bo Dallas could come in and spend 4 days and get showcased and put the right spotlight on him, perhaps it could lead to bigger and better things for him in the world of professional wrestling. And that can be said for everybody that's recently been released, and that can be said for anybody who's a free agent in professional wrestling. The NWA did in the past have kind of this ability to get people over. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to continue to do that. It's not a guarantee you're going to get signed anywhere, but they certainly did a pretty good job with that in the last year or so. I mean, look how many guys who started with the NWA went on to go elsewhere. I mean, Willie Mack's limited time with the NWA netted him a deal with Impact Wrestling. Colt Cabana ended up in AEW. Ricky Starks, like I said, Eddie Kingston. All of these guys kind of went through that carousel, and on the other side had an opportunity to go to a high-paying gig. And that could be a selling point for the NWA. Whether that's something that's going to continue to happen, like I said, I don't know. But if I'm Bo Dallas and I'm still interested in wrestling, but I'm not seeing the offers I want to, well, absolutely, I'll go see what the NWA could do for me. Maybe it's a win-win relationship. Maybe he finds like a new lust for the world of wrestling. Maybe he makes the NWA so much better that they don't want him to go. That's all. This could happen. You need to see it first.
For the record, Dallas is divorced. Taylor Rotunda is his name, but he is divorced and he is with Liv Morgan, and they have started a real estate business.
Well, there you go.
So look, I was confusing him with his former partner Joe Henning, who, a lot of people were wondering where he would go when WWE cut him, and apparently he went into retirement.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing, but I don't think he's wrestled since.
I haven't seen it, and I've looked.
And you know, a lot of us thought he would be a good fit for the NWA at the time, and you know, it ain't happening. And so, yeah, just I think that, you know, some of these people probably wanted out.
For sure.
And I would bet Joe was one of them. And so, you know, it's sad whenever the people are released and lose their job and whatever, but you know, Tucker, I think his first post after either Tucker or Blake, one of their first posts after it was announced was like freedom. They channeled their
William Wallace. I think
Mel Gibson is what I was going to say. So, you know,
I think the next tweet was him on the golf course smoking a joint. So, freedom it is. Sean Mega points out. Yeah, Sean Mega points out with Murdoch, Crimson, Jax, Pope, Paro, and even Tyrus, no excuse for Aldis to not defend the title. And that's the thing. You know, I see you bringing it back to the NWA, and that's good because we're about to wrap things up here because you know, we went a little bit longer today. But yeah, that's the thing. Aldis, I don't know if this is part of the gimmick or if this is part of the wrestling company. I really don't know. But, you know, Aldis has stated, you know, there's no one on the roster who's worthy of challenging for the title. What are you saying about your roster there, buddy? Nobody? Nobody's worthy of a shot. And subsequently, we have not seen a tag team title match since the NWA's returned. And the only world title match we had was Back for the Attack. Now, at least in Aldis's case, if the title's not defended in 30 days, then we could start bringing the pitchforks back to the NWA. But let's talk about that tag team division. As weak as it is, you know, we still haven't seen Kratos and Stevens defend those tag titles. That's something that I think we should be talking about too, because two major titles have not been defended. Now, Serena Deeb is on the IL, but even that, maybe we should be talking about that too. She hasn't defended her belt. Is it time to strip her of the title? I know Thunder Rosa said on AEW that she wants to take the NWA title off of Serena Deeb, and she wants to take the AEW off of I can't remember her name. I don't watch AEW, so I don't remember the champion's name. But there you go. I mean, there's more than just Aldis not defending out there, guys. And Kikuchi says lazy booking, bad booking. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with either one of those. I'm not. But like I said, Go ahead, DK. Go ahead.
I was going to say, they've hinted at a program with him and Murdoch, so, you know, hopefully when they come back next week, I think I'm on automatic renewal, so I should be able to see the show. Hopefully they'll start down that angle. I mean, you know, look, I haven't given up on them. I haven't, you know, torn up my credit card and said, no, I'll make sure that they don't charge me for this. Or anything like that. And I'm willing, you know, for the patience, you know, I've had quite a bit of patience. And I'm willing to have some more. It's just, I really want to talk positive about it. And I also realize that I don't know how many shows they recorded, but, you know, they haven't announced the next pay-per-view yet. So, you know, this could easily be 2 or 3 months that is in the can that they have gotten no feedback for. So, you know, they're getting the feedback now. And, you know, hopefully things will improve over time. And hopefully, you know, with the next set of tapings, they'll improve even more. And that's all I have for this week, because somehow we took a 30-minute show and turned it into an hour and 15-minute broadcast because we like ourselves.
Well, I just like hearing you talk, DK. So, you know, where can folks find you on the socials and maybe hear some of your more commentary on pro wrestling?
If I have comments on pro wrestling, I typically say them on my Twitter account, which is at DKMFWTX. So if you want to follow me there. You'll see me fanboy for a couple of people.
Also, Kikuchi would like to remind everybody that Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators, who are friends of the show, by the way, have an event on Saturday night, June 26th at the MaxFit Sports Center, and that's located at 240 Del C Drive South in the beautiful uptown Glassboro. I didn't know anything in New Jersey was beautiful, but there you go.
Nothing in New Jersey is beautiful. Hey, did you hear the rumor I heard?
What's that?
I heard that Dr. Lawrence Zirconia might be dumping Jaden in favor of some other poor sap. I mean, lucky guy to book. Or
We'll have to get to the bottom of that maybe next week. Hopefully next week we have a little bit more to talk about here on the show. Hopefully we'll see a new episode of Power that gets us all energized and ready to go. Again, if you want to join me for the pre-party, we do that Tuesdays. That's 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on youtube.com/The Alliance Blog or on twitch.tv/The Alliance Blog. And again, you can follow your boy Jay Cal all over social medias at The Alliance Blog. And that puts you on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and TikTok. I don't do thirst trap videos, so you don't have to worry about that. We're also on Tumblr, and you can check out the audio podcast. You can hear the audio version of these podcasts also at, you could just say, hey, Alexa, play the Alliance Blog podcast, or any of your social speakers, smart speakers. We're on Amazon. We're on Google. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify. Feel free to check those out. If you like the merchandise that you see, you can visit alliance-wrestling.com/merch, and you can see the t-shirts and hats we have available, as well as please visit alliance-wrestling.com, because this is supposed to get you there. This is where we talk about the news. That's where we write about it. So make sure you visit alliance-wrestling.com. And that's going to do it for us this week. DKM, thank you so much for being here with me. Folks in the chat, James, Jimmy, Kikuchi, Sean, Sweet Vanilla, Terry.
Sweet Vanilla.
What would Luthez do? Dave, Scooby, all you guys, I really appreciate you checking us out every week. It makes this show fun. It makes it fun for us to do for you. And we'll hope you'll join us next week. Until next time, we'll see you at the matches. Good night now.